Hi there, it's Ravid and Murray again from the Nasty Divorce Podcast. Just to remind you, we are not lawyers and we are not therapists. We are two divorced parents on a mission to demystify nasty divorces, and that's a tough job for us. Understand how and why nasty divorces are becoming an epidemic, and discuss problems we see in today's divorces along with provide solutions. Today, we're talking about, does social media play a part in your divorce?
Well, it does, but it shouldn't.
Exactly.
Oh.
And the question is, why do people feel like they need to air out their dirty laundry on social media so the whole world can see? Even if you have selected friends on social media, it's still available to be seen on search engines. And why is it also that people seem to ask random people, strangers, questions on what they should do with their case?
Interesting question.
Kills me.
Oh.
It boggles my mind, and
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with so many attorneys because people do not realize they are liable for what they write on Facebook. You cannot trash your ex on Facebook. You cannot ruin his reputation. And sometimes you think that no one will ever know that this is my ex. Well, it's a small world out there, and a lot of people are dating each other.
Yeah.
And what's happening at the end of the day is that they're finding out that all those stories that you actually told were about that guy. And now we met that guy, and now we know that either A, you're full of shit, or two, oh my God, that guy's a psychopath. I'm staying away from him because his ex wrote all these stories about him.
Social media is the new way that people now communicate.
Yes.
Social media is wonderful, but it is also horrible.
Yes.
I saw on Facebook about 2 weeks ago a guy who obviously had just found out that his wife doesn't love him anymore.
Oh.
And he put it up on Facebook. He says, my world has just been shattered. The woman that I love for the past 20, 25 years has just told me that there's not going to be a future between us.
Oh, man.
And I'm thinking, as soon as I read it, I'm going, you idiot. What are you doing on here doing this? If you've got kids, they're going to see this.
Yep.
She's going to see it, and I guess you don't mind, but obviously you're pouring your heart out here.
Why would he do that?
Because social media has become this place that everybody goes to with their, here's what I'm having for supper picture. Oh, do I really care? But anyway, you're going up there and your life is for all to see.
Yes.
And why is it? Stop. Realize what you're doing. Realize that I don't care about your stupid French fries and your stupid meal that you're having at your most favorite restaurant.
Well, even if I cooked it, I'm kind of proud of myself
I'd be
if I
very
cooked
impressed,
it.
and I'd take my best camera to take a picture of that. But really, for this guy to go up there, he is obviously, like I said, he's in pain, and he thinks he's going to get help from his friends.
Well, do you think he's trying to get help, or do you think he's pouring his heart out because he has no one else to talk to? Why don't he pick up a phone and call his buddy?
I don't know.
Or call mom?
Because social media is the way it is now.
That's insane.
Because people put everything up there. Everything from their political feelings. When I was a kid, we were always told two things you never talk about in public are religion and politics.
Agreed.
Well, boy, is that over.
Yes.
You talk about whatever you want to. Religion is all over social media.
Yeah.
And politics is certainly all over because of what's happening down south, obviously, and with our prime minister. So we talk about everything. So if that's now the two things you don't talk about, well, guess what else we never talked about before was our personal private lives. Well, now we do. And everybody sees it. And as you mentioned, once you've said it out there, it's forever.
That's right. And even if people are not liking your posts, it doesn't mean that they're not actually reading it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that he was looking for sympathy, that he was in a state of shock and he
Yes.
didn't know what to do? So why didn't he just pick up the phone and call these people?
Because
you think he didn't want to tell the story to 10 different people?
That's not the way things are done these days. You're not going to physically pick up a phone and say, John,
I need
do you hear
you.
what? Because guys don't do that, first of all. Guys don't call up their buddies and say, I need help, right? But they can go on social media and say, oh, you see what just happened to me.
But the friend of yours that actually posted this is a male or female?
Male.
A male.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And like, obviously, he got hammered within the past couple of hours of posting that because he was raw and it hurt to read it.
Wow.
And it was like, oh God. And you want to pick up the phone and say, don't do that. Don't
But
do
you
that.
can, because he's in a state of despair right now. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
And you can imagine phoning you phone him up. Let's say you phone him up and you say, John, what are you doing? You can't be on Facebook doing what you're doing. Don't tell me what to do. And then he gets all pissed at you.
And then he'll never talk to you again.
There you go.
So the issue is, do people have the right support system out there? Do men have the right support system?
Probably not.
Statistics show that they don't, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because men don't talk enough, and they don't talk to each other on personal or feelings or things like that. Women we're fantastic at it. I told you we're perfect for something. And when we're good.
Nicely said.
Oh, you like how I subtly just threw
Yes.
that in? Your face just turned red.
Perfect for something. But it's true. You guys do. You talk a lot.
do.
You talk too much.
Oh, well, I beg to differ, but it depends. Depends on the situation.
Okay, here's a situation. I'll throw one at you.
Okay.
You're having a tiff with your favorite man friend,
Okay.
right? And he doesn't see your point of view.
Okay.
What are you telling your girlfriends for?
I don't.
Oh, you're perfect then.
I told you I'm perfect. You don't need to believe
No, but
me.
women do that.
Yes, they do.
Why would they do that? If you
Because
got a
maybe they
problem,
don't trust their opinions, or they want an opinion of another.
but then you're revealing that your dirty laundry is now out there for your friends to
And
know.
some men absolutely despise that. God forbid you talk about them, they will freak out.
Absolutely.
And there are others that just don't care.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I freak out.
You're one of those?
That's my personal private life. What is that doing in your mother's ear?
Yeah.
What is that doing in your friend's ear? And what are you doing, you doofus, telling me that you've done that? You know how I feel.
Exactly.
Well, probably because you could push my button that way and you just decided to do that.
Now Marie's all like excited now.
But now, instead of telling friends, instead of telling your parents,
You're telling complete strangers. The whole world knows.
And guess what? They're offering
like
advice
gossip.
like, hey man, you want to come over and have a beer? We can just kind of like, you know what I mean? Well, that's what guys do. Then you get over there, and guess what? Beer's a depressant. Oh, God, now I'm even in worse
And now we
shape.
don't want to go out with you next time, right?
Yeah, right.
So this is the problem.
Yeah.
The men don't have other men to talk to or to to express themselves with, and they're shy, or they're not
we just
willing to
don't do
open
that.
up, or you just it's not in some of you, it's not in your nature.
Yep.
Okay,
Most of us.
most of you.
Yep.
And so what do we do in that kind of situation? Well, we suggest that men do find a support group with other men who are, divorcing and at the same stage of their divorce, and start talking to one another. And you don't have to talk. You could just like raise your hand, meaning like, I agree, I concur, I'm in agreement with what you're saying, but I don't want to say it out loud, but I'm just raising my hand, confirming what you're saying.
I remember. Go ahead.
Yeah, because the women are actually doing that. They're talking to their friends, but the problem is it's becoming an obsession. You not only talk to your friends, you not only talk to your family, now you're starting talking to every stranger on the planet and asking them for advice. Now, the problem is you're likely getting the wrong advice, because you're not in 3 lines, you're not exactly telling the entire story, right? And someone who's, very detail oriented like I'm reading this story and saying, oh my God, there are so many holes in this story, I wouldn't even know what to answer, because I could answer A and be completely wrong and steer her the wrong way, and I could send her to court for the next 10 years, or B, I could be completely right, which is probably like a 1% chance that I'm right, because I don't really know what she's talking about. So
Maybe-
why are people feeling like they can get answers?
Maybe social media, like guys don't talk to guys about stuff like this.
Yeah.
But maybe social media is now the way to go. I remember a couple of years ago, a friend of mine was going through a divorce, and he was in a self-help group.
Oh,
And then we'd go out for a couple of pops.
Yeah.
And he'd say, yeah, I was at my my group help last night, and
Yeah.
we were talking about this, talking about that. And I said, you sit there and you talk about this kind of stuff with strangers? He says, yeah.
but is he talking like he's actually sharing emotions, or
Yeah,
is
yeah.
he raising his hand and
No,
okay.
he's 7 or 8 of them. They sit around this circle with,
Yeah.
I guess, a psychologist or
Some
a
kind of
guy who
therapist.
kind of guides the group, and they talk about what happened in the past week. I said, so you meet weekly? He's
It's
He
fantastic.
said, what do you? Yeah, I don't think
It is.
I could do it. I don't think I could do it.
But it depends what you're meeting for. So you can join in on the conversation on Facebook or LinkedIn, spelled RAVITROSE. We want to hear if you're male and you would actually go to weekly support groups. And if you're a female and you actually share your stories on social media and explain to us why you would share your stories, why you would ask for advice from a total stranger.
Or are you just venting?
Or, yeah, that's
maybe
a good
you're
one.
just getting it off your chest so you can just move on with your life in that particular moment.
And your closest friend doesn't even want to hear your stories anymore because they're so draining
Oh.
that, yes, and that happens. And that's, it's normal that your friends just don't want to deal with it anymore. This is why a support group is very important. Now, if you're in a support group for, let's say, 4 months, and those 4 months, all you're talking about is your grieving process, I would say, yeah, that's a little excessive, right? There's only so much you can express yourself with. But if you're doing it for a couple of weeks just to get to the point where you can start understanding your emotions and start understanding your reactions and start understanding, where you're at so that you can decide whether you want to stay in that hole that you're in or if you want to get out and see the sunshine and move on. There's programs in the States that are fantastic, and they really do encourage both parents to get involved and to do so separately. And we actually at the center have it also because we believe that both men and women have to be in a support group setting where the men are in one group and the women are in another group, and no one's talking to each other and no one's sharing information with one another, and everyone's doing their grieving on their own, but at least they're grieving.
I remember another story, speaking of social media again, and it was again a father, but this time he was online and he was talking about his daughter, and his daughter who was no longer talking to him.
Oish.
And did he ever vent?
Yeah.
It was like, what is wrong with her? What did I do? I don't understand. And then, of course, people were reacting to all of this, which motivated him to reveal more and more and more. It must have been horrible. She was 16 years old, which is a horrible age anyway. It's a wonderful age, but it's horrible because you're in a state of flux at that age.
Yeah.
What am I all about? You could be rejected by your 17-year-old boyfriend, and it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
I remember that happening to me. Oh, yes, I was rejected, but
you
only
were
once.
Rejected?
Only once.
Yeah,
Only
but
once.
okay.
That'll load. But anyway, and so again, it's another example of somebody online revealing everything about the horrible emotions they're going through as they are rejected by, in this case, a daughter who, and I wanted to say something, but I didn't know the guy, but he was one of my quote unquote friends, and I wanted to say, it may not be all about her, there may be something in your life that you're not looking at, but I wanted to say it. I never said it.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop a lot of other people from offering their opinion of, don't worry, she'll come around, she's going through a stage and all of that.
Yeah, sometimes people just want the empathy. They want to be heard. They're venting, they want to be heard, they want a confirmation that it's okay to feel this way. So you can go out there and saying, I'm feeling like shit today because this and this happened, and be very vague. And really look out for all the love and care that you can. But to ask for advice, this is what happened, what should I do? That's insane. So I know of a mother, she's in her mid to late 60s. And her husband pulled the plug about 5 years ago. So granted, she was over 60 when he pulled the plug.
Yep.
And they had a beautiful life. According to her, they had $1 million home, they had 2 nannies, they lived in Montreal, they had another house in Florida and another house in Spain.
Okay.
And she had the life, and they were always on vacations. They had 3 children together. All the children were doing well and successful, and she was a stay-at-home mom. And all of a sudden, this guy pulls the plug. Long story short, she posts all kinds of stuff on Facebook, and you can tell by her stories that she was basically thrown onto the streets, to the point where she even posted that she's about to be evicted.
Ooh.
It's not only my heart broken for her, because I feel horrible that this is happening, but it makes you realize how some people just don't have anyone to talk to. And that's why they feel the need to go and vent. But there's others who do have people to talk to and still end up going on groups and, talking to groups about their issues. And so one thing is, let me ask you a question. If I were, as a woman, a fantastic woman, of course, I go to you and I tell you, and I write in a group that you're part of, and I mention a story that my ex did this, and that, which I don't, and I never did, and I never will.
Yeah.
And you read it. As a guy, you're single and I'm single. Do you think that that would bring you closer to me or feel the need to talk to me? Or do you think that you would not be interested in me because you don't like what I wrote?
It depends on what you wrote.
I'm complaining about my ex. That he's a schmuck and he did this, and that.
If you'll do that to him, you'll do that to me.
Aha!
So, I don't want you doing that to me because I'm a very private person.
Okay.
And I would not be interested in having a relationship with you because of just that.
Okay. And so that's what a lot of men are saying out there. They're saying that anyone who's out there on social media on a consistent basis and doing everything in their power, or not in their power, just focusing their efforts to go out there and expose themselves to the world, is someone who's not over their divorce.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone who's still heavily involved emotionally, and they don't want to have to deal with that. Even if it's like a one-night stand, they don't want to deal with the emotions after.
Yep.
The one-night stand means, thank you, goodbye, I don't want this to linger on forever.
The sex was great, but,
Yeah, or awful.
All right.
Could be one way or the other.
Oh, God.
And so...
Anyway.
Murray's face is like red like a tomato right
Yes,
now.
it is.
Well, listen, if he's going to say it, I'm going to say it too.
Yeah.
But, so in terms of dating also, you could ruin your chances out there in these groups where there's really nice people looking to befriend and go out and have a good time, since, maybe most of them are not dating and want to just go out and have fun as friends. But when you start
showing disrespect.
Yep. And just too much, how do I say this nicely?
Too much out there?
Too much out there and too much against the other sex. It kind of scares them away.
It does.
Right. And if you think that people don't know each other on social media, they actually do. So when you're going out there dating, and a lot of girls are doing this, is that, and guys are probably doing it too, they're just maybe not talking about it out loud, because they're better at keeping secrets than most women are. He's smiling.
Nicely said.
But what's happening is that they're talking about men.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about the guy that they just met on Tinder or Plenty of Fish or whatever. And then when they start comparing notes, they start realizing that they all know the same guy. Or two of the girls know the same guy. And so it may not be the women deliberately going to talk about you, but when you're trying to fix your friend up with a guy and you're giving a list of all the single guys, one of the names may pop up. Right? So if you are the type of person who talks about, am I shocking you now?
A little bit.
Again?
Yeah.
I'm doing a good job, eh? So what's happening is that you have to be careful also, not only on the legal standpoint as to what you talk about your ex, but also how do you want to be portrayed and viewed by these other people in the group. If you want to have a private conversation with people that you don't know but you like their advice, do so in a private chat. You can add 3 or 4 people in a private chat, talk amongst yourselves, get whatever information you need, but don't give us the impression that you are something that you might not be by constantly posting your questions and potentially putting yourself in a dangerous situation.
Or you're going to be labeled very quickly as a whack job who will never be approached by other guys, because guys talk too. They do talk.
Ha! I knew you guys talk.
But what we talk about is, I had a date last night. Holy jeez, watch out for so-and-so. Because, and then you start, there's some stories that I could tell.
Oh, please do.
Can't tell you that one. Hang on a second. No, there's a couple of stories. Let me get my facts straight, because I don't want to get myself into trouble. But on the dating scene, there are guys talk, and they say, "Oh no, she was just nuts." Why is that? Oh, because I woke up. Well, I can tell you this one story. A friend of mine, he was dating this guy. Excuse me. He was dating this girl. And he realized the sex was boring.
Okay.
And there was no conversation before or after. And it was just like, okay, that's the end of that. And he woke
So
up.
that taints the next guy's image of her, thinking that she sucks in bed.
Yeah,
When it could just be that the two of them don't have chemistry.
possible.
Oh, do
Oh.
men think that way? No, eh?
No, of course not. It's all her fault.
Stu,
The sex was bad because she was boring.
because she sucks.
You know what I mean? What?
Terrible.
Nicely done. But anyway, he woke up one morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she was in his living room.
What?
She didn't have a key. And guess what happened? She went to the landlord and said, I forgot my key. Can you let me into apartment such and such? And the landlord, being a doofus, did.
What?
Yep. And here he was. And he said, geez, it was lucky. Nobody was, I hadn't met someone that night. And she was in bed with me and all of that. I just heard
Oh my
noises out in the living
God.
room. And here she was in the living room. And, it just
But was she a
terrified.
stalker after that?
Well, no, it stopped right there. He told her, he said, what are you doing? This is crazy. How'd you get in? Oh, and she
What
told
did she
him.
want?
She wanted to continue the relationship.
So why didn't she text him or call him or...
I don't know.
Oh my God, that's like...
But to end up in...
That's like labeled like psycho.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
insane.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
somebody would do that to me, I'd like call my guard dog. I
So
don't know.
needless to say, he told me and a few of his other friends.
And then all of you are off limits too.
Oh, yeah, well...
You don't even want to talk to her.
Holy jeez.
So please join in on the conversation on Facebook or LinkedIn. Let us know if you have any crazy stories like that.
Yeah.
If you ever heard of any stories of, whether dating on social media or airing your dirty laundry out on social media. So join us at Ravit Rose. That's RAVITROSE. And feel free to suggest any topics you'd like us to discuss. Have yourself a day that matters. Thank you. See you next time.